Chapter 321. Conflict. Samuel could guess it. After all, they were all living in that world for a few years and had experienced many things. Even though they didn't manage to stay there too long because a catastrophe came to each of them, but they have long learned many things that was useful for their lives. One of them was naturally this inquiry methods. They could deduce other people's thoughts and use subtle methods to find out the truth without offending the other party. As a businessman and also someone in high position in that world, Samuel was also aware of this method. Moreover, he did it quite a lot himself. So he would not give Peter any chance. Don't look at this man kept on provoking others to fight. For him to survive for a few years before he was killed had already shown that he was not that stupid. Peter is naturally very smart, but he would not show it and instead acted dumb in front of others. Yes, let's eat. Stephen followed and then said, Can we eat the rank 3 magic beasts' meat? Can. Great. Ha ha ha. Seeing Stephen laughing, Samuel shook his head and ignored the other party. He simply took out some magic beasts' meat that he had separated and put into his space storage scroll. Why are you so happy? Don't you usually eat rank 3 magic beasts' meat? Amelia asked in confusion. No, we don't usually eat it. Sophia shook her head. The Carson family is not very rich and grandfather had to take care of such a large family. Even after exchanging resources before, we can't really buy magic beasts' meat unless we hunt by ourselves. The price of these magic beasts' meat was very expensive. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't get it so easily. As for hunting on their own, what a joke. It was impossible. Is it that expensive? Amelia was stunned and then looked at her brother. With her brother basically sponsoring them, she really couldn't feel any difficulties about this matter. After all, her brother covered everything. She only needed to sit at home and enjoyed her life. It was really comfortable. Yes, Sophia nodded helplessly. Ria listened to their conversation and felt a bit strange. If she wanted to, she was sure that many people would come to her and exchange a lot of magic beasts' meat for the things in her hand. But once they mastered her methods, she was sure that she would be forgotten once more. Well, forget about it. She had no interest to do so. Then eat more this time. Amelia clapped her hand. I'm sure that my brother will allow it. You sure are confident about it. Hee hee. They were all having fun eating and drinking like normal. Aside from the fact that they were now staying in the tunnel, it could be said that their situation didn't really change. They could still do their activities normally. It was just that they have to beat up a large number of magic beasts. After all, these magic beasts kept on making trouble here and there. And after dinner, Samuel dragged them all to practice until 10 o'clock before he released them and let them rest. Tomorrow they would patrol the area and train on their own. He could not always protect them. Anyway, most of the magic beasts around the area has been cleared up by Samuel. There wouldn't be much danger for them. The night passed by quietly. Ria didn't go out today. She wanted to clean up the nearby magic beasts first and then made a few more formation plate in her world. Only with enough protection would she dare to go deep into the crack. As for the city bees' visit, she would do it tomorrow. The next day, everyone started their own activities, and without Samuel leading the others to practice, there were almost no magic beasts around their small camp. Peter was about to be bored to death. Can't Samuel took pity on me and switch our job? Peter complained. He wanted to be the one to explore while Samuel stayed here. Mr. Zahn looked at Peter blankly. With your personality, you might end up seeking death if you dare to explore the crack. I'm not that bad, right? Peter asked doubtfully. But Mr. Zahn was too lazy to answer. With how he had seen Peter acted over the past few months, how could he not know that this man loved fighting so much? There were even times when he fought until several bones were broken and he still wanted to continue. To be honest, Mr. Zahn didn't understand how the Martial Arts Association managed to control Peter. Then again, the Martial Arts Association was able to rise because of Peter, so it was quite normal for them to indulge and protect this man to a certain degree. I want to go out. These are not enough? Why can't you give us more? The researchers are making noises and Mr. Zahn looked into the group. They had started to excavate the stones to make suitable building for them to stay. After all, the tents could barely give them enough protection. Only real building would be able to protect them better. But building houses and so on needed time, so Mr. Zahn has been working with the others for this. It has only been a day, so it was far from done. And these researchers were already nagging about their equipment yesterday. Now they wanted to go out? What happened here? Mr. Zahn came and saw Professor Black and Professor Dit were debating with each other. Mr. Zahn, we have 3 people here, so can't you give us more of this magic beast? This is a rank 3 magic beast and the element is special. But dividing it into 2 like this is not fair. Professor Dit said it first, wanting to appear to Mr. Zahn who came. Manai, Professor Dit's assistant, also nodded in agreement. Chapter 322. Conflict. 2. Yes, they only have 2 people. Can't they give us more so that we can give better result? You only said this because you are reckless and used up the sample so quickly. Ruby shook her head in disagreement. Samuel took part of the magic beast's meat before because it was dark element and he wanted to give it to Ruben later. The rest were divided equally between these 2 professors. And it hasn't even been a day yet and they already have conflicts? Ria, who came after hearing the noises, frowned when she heard this. She looked at the dark element magic beast's bones that had been separated and her expression turned strange. When she first explored deeper into the crack, she had already killed several shadow magic beasts or shadow creature. It was rare to see them in the entrance area. But Ria guessed that with most of these magic beasts pouring onto the green planet, the magic beasts that usually stayed deep within the crack would slowly come out one after another to make trouble. These shadow creatures were only one of them. What are you talking about? We're not making any mistake. Paul refuted immediately. It's just that there's not enough samples for us to. It's not enough because you don't know how to use it properly. You're just a small assistant. What right do you have? Enough. Mr. Zahn felt that these researchers whom he brought out from the capital city only knew how to make trouble. Even though some professors were decent and their assistants were good, but some of them were really annoying. They felt that they were better than others simply because they came from Continent Z's capital city. Because of that, the researchers from other cities have to serve them well. But how could these people be willing to listen to their willfulness? It was impossible. How did you divide it before? Mr. Zahn asked as he looked at the two professors. Their assistants could quarrel with each other. Isn't it because there was an agreement from their mentor? Otherwise, they would not make trouble here. We divided each part equally, Professor Black replied and looked at Professor Dit. The research is for the nation, so there's no need to fight for it. If you do need for more resources, do remember to put the notes in the program and I'll give your part to you.
Professor Dit snorted.
Don't you know that we can't use the internet at all in this crack? If we want to send message, we have to go outside for a while. Professor Black turned to look at Mr. Zahn as if saying that if they didn't follow the proper procedure, he will not move. No matter what, the resources allocation has been agreed before they came here because they had anticipated that they would not be able to connect the internet. So they came with the method that the researchers from City A base and the researchers from Continent Z's capital city could each get half. In this way, it would be quite fair. Besides, they would only send one professor from each field. The difference lies in the number of assistant they brought. All right, you accompany them to go out. Mr. Zahn looked at the soldier on the side and gave order casually. Yes. Professor Dit looked at Professor Black while the other party was calm. He snorted and then they walked to the entrance of the crack to make the agreement about this resource. Professor. Ruby called out to her professor, but he waved his hand and motioned for her not to follow. She sighed and walked to the side, not wanting to see the two gloating assistant of Professor Dit. Ruby. Oh, Ria, you're here. Ruby saw Ria and showed a smile on her face. Aren't you with the others? They're training today, Ria replied. Samuel's plan was for them to have harsh training one day, meditating one day, and then another harsh training. Because the meditation result after harsh training was usually better. Coupled with the fact that the mana concentration in this place was higher, it also allowed them to yield more result in their practice. While this kind of practice was quite good, but Ria couldn't do the same. Because it was impossible for her to put her own life on the line in battle. If she has no confidence to win in a battle, she would run away. That was how she managed to survive for a long time. I see. Ruby nodded, not too surprised. Is it dispute about resources? Ria asked. Yes. You don't have to worry so much. Researchers always paid attention to result and most of the time, result came from the capital city so they usually can get priority in obtaining more resources. Ruby replied. Even though she said that, Ruby still felt a bit unwilling when she thought that she had to hand over more of these samples to these people. After all, she had many ideas that she wanted to try. Ria nodded and sighed. No matter where they were, people with higher power, position, or so on, would always have preferential treatment. Not that she could care so much. Ruby, have you practiced? Practiced? Ruby repeated and then nodded. Well, I do some meditation, but I only have a little bit of mana since I don't train my body that much. She was busy in the laboratories most of the time. Even if she did find the strength increase fascinating, she was more interested in the research and so on. Because of that, Ruby barely practiced. She couldn't even be categorized as rank 1 magic warrior because her mana was so little. Ria looked at Ruby and sensed the weak mana from the other party. Well, it should be enough. Ria handed over a space storage scroll to Ruby. This is for you. You can use the content as you wish and be careful not to show this in front of others. Chapter 323. Ruby. Thank you. Huh. Ruby looked at the small scroll that Ria handed over to her in confusion. When Ria made these space storage scrolls, she was also using the A5 paper, so when she rolled them, it was still quite small. Inject mana to use it. Ruby arched her eyebrows and then did as she was told. When she sensed the magic beast inside, her eyes widened. She could tell that this was the same species as the one they were researching right now. But how? It was a rank 3 magic beast. Did Ria kill this magic beast? At this moment, Ruby felt that Ria is really strong. Thank you, Ruby whispered and then tucked the paper scroll away. The two of them were a bit away from the others and Mr. Zahn was already giving instruction to other soldiers and researchers so that they would not repeat this dispute. If they wanted to rearrange their agreement and needed to go out for a while, they should tell him. In this way, no one paid attention to the two of them. It's nothing. Ria smiled faintly. A rank 3 magic beast's corpse wasn't that valuable for Ria. She has a lot of them in her world. Moreover, what Ria needed the most was their blood and the magic core. Some species could have their bones or skin taken for other things, but most of these magic beasts' other parts couldn't really be used for anything else. It was also because of this that Rhea didn't care too much even if she handed Ruby one of them. Besides, she was curious what kind of research that Ruby was doing. If it could benefit others, it would be good. Remember to share if you find something interesting and not bound by confidentiality contact, Rhea said with a grin. Ruby nodded with a bright smile. Don't worry, I'll make sure to give lecture to you. No, not lecture. Thinking about the time when Ruby shared the news about what happened in her laboratories along with the concept behind it, Rhea felt painful in her heart, because she knew very well that she understood less than 30% of it. But Ruby kept on going on and on. All of them already felt like waving the white flag. Ruby laughed when she saw Rhea's appearance and then started to think about what experiment should she do next. Seeing that Ruby was immersed in her own world again, Rhea shook her head and silently slipped away. She hoped that Ruby would only share the summary because if it was a complete lecture, she didn't want to listen. She went to her own room and waited until it was dinner time before slipping out. Samuel was busy talking with Mr. Zahn, so no one paid attention to Rhea. How's the adaptation to the environment here? Samuel asked to Mr. Zahn after dinner time. It was impossible for these researchers to stay near this crack and would slowly explore deeper. But for the time being, they had to set up some kind of place to guard this place. Reason? Just so that if something unexpected happened, there would be some methods to slow down these magic beasts. Their adaptation is very good. Mr. Zahn nodded in satisfaction and said, I have to say that the mana concentration in this crack is much better than the surface and the people here have adapted well. Most of the researcher were ordinary people. They might have some chance to train and become magician or magic warrior. But most of them were already past the prime age for practicing and would rather do their research. Only some of their assistant was practicing to a certain degree. They could protect themselves, but it was unknown how useful it would be. After all, they had never truly fought against magic beasts and they had to be protected because of their position. It's good. Samuel nodded. He didn't know whether the atmosphere in the crack would have adverse effect on humans' body, especially those who didn't become magic warriors or those other profession. But it seemed that he was thinking too much. Ordinary people could still live in the environment where the mana increased. As for the so-called adaptation, it didn't seem to be necessary. Have they found anything interesting? Aside from the conflict about the special shadow creature that's rank 3, the other are studying the minerals. They said that there are some other particles found on the rocks, but the amount is too little to figure out what they're specifically. They only managed to find some characteristic. Mr. Zahn replied, particles on the rock. Samuel looked at the rock around him and then fell into silence. He couldn't see any difference from other rocks, but he also knew that there were indeed some particles mixed in. Because these rocks seemed to emit dim light yet not at the same time. It was a strange and yet intriguing phenomenon. Forget it. I don't understand that much. Haha. Mr. Zahn laughed and then waved his hand. I have to go back and make arrangement for tomorrow. Yes. Samuel walked towards their tents and swept around the area once. But then he paused and looked at Rhea's tent. Even though Rhea's presence was usually quite faint, Samuel knew that she was there so he would not disturb her. But this time, he didn't seem to see anyone. Did she roam around the crack once again? Thinking about what Rhea had done before, Samuel felt that it was possible. After all, Rhea's strength could guarantee she could protect herself even if she were to explore the crack. But, didn't I tell her that I want to follow? Black lines formed on Samuel's forehead. He sighed deeply and then quickly rushed in one direction. Samuel had no idea where Rhea is, but he could try to search for her. There might be some traces that she left along the way. Chapter 324. Going Alone. Swish. Slash. Several magic beasts were killed. Rhea looked at these magic beasts and shook her head. They were only rank 2 and it was too weak in her opinion. And she was heading in the direction of City B based on her memory. As for the matter of making a map, that might have to wait until later. The magic beasts that roamed around the cracks have become much stronger in such a short period of time. Rhea tossed these magic beasts' corpses into her world. She felt that she had improved very quickly. But these magic beasts told her very clearly that she was not fast enough. If there were more and more higher-ranked magic beasts coming out on the surface of the green planet, they might not be prepared to face them. After all, some talented people had only reached rank 2. Was there anyone who had reached rank 3 aside from these people who returned from that world? Rhea didn't know. Oh, she didn't calculate those magicians from the Magic Association. Not because they were not powerful but simply because she didn't want to remember any of them. As for Martial Arts Association, they might have some powerful people. But neither of these two associations sent the powerful people to Cydia base. It seemed that they were already comfortable with Samuel in power. And with Peter swaggering in, there would be no magic beasts that could defeat the two of them. Swish. Slash. The formation was triggered and Rhea simply tossed the magic beast's corpse into her world. In order not to waste her mana on her journey, Rhea used the formation plate that she had made before. Roar, Master. There's a fluctuation energy on the front. Mo naturally acted as Rhea's mount again. He didn't have much chance to perform when Rhea was around and when they fought before, the few rank 2 magic beasts could still be dealt with by Arnold. This made Mo's training a bit slower. Thankfully, Samuel then focused on training them, so he attracted a large number of magic beasts, which made Mo really happy. Now he had returned to his old profession, to become Ria's mount. Ria arched her eyebrows. Over there. She didn't know what Mo was saying, but he was looking in one direction, so there might be something that attracted him there. Go there. Roar. Yes, master. Mo dashed over while Ria was sensing the mana fluctuation. After they got closer, Ria also noticed that it was the faint fluctuation from the formation. But why did this formation have such violent mana fluctuation? Step. Mo suddenly stopped. Ria looked at the front and saw a damaged special magic core on the ground, and her lips twitched. So someone had found this place in the past and triggered a riot. She sighed deeply and jumped down from Mo, looking at the special magic core that has its size broken down. She could guess that a magic beast should have entered this place by mistake or on purpose and took it. But after taking it, they didn't manage to digest completely before being sucked into the hall and activated the killing formation. The result? Naturally, all of them died. The special magic core was left behind at the entrance of this hall because it has already used the blood of these magic beasts to make a new one. As for this one, you can eat it, Mo, Ria said. This special magic core is also very attractive to magic beasts because it could help them to increase their strength. And this magic core has been eaten by a magic beast before, so traces of violent mana remained. If humans wanted to use it, they would have to purify it first. And the first rank purification spell that she taught them would not be enough unless they were willing to cast it thousands of times. She herself was too lazy to use it. The mana within this special magic core was only comparable to rank 4 now. It would be better for Mo to eat it. Roar. Thank you, master. Mo was excited and quickly swallowed the special magic core. He didn't have to specifically refine the special magic core because it would be refined naturally inside his body. What he had to do was to wait. Wait, and he could definitely become stronger again. Wait here, and when I come out, you have to be prepared to run as fast as possible. The direction is where we came from before. Ria remembered that they passed by a crack not far from here. It was in the direction where they came from, and if they could get out of this crack, it would be for the best. She didn't want to face the attack of thousands of magic beasts. Roar. Yes, master. Ria walked inside and looked at the entire room that had been dyed red and frowned. The special magic core has been taken twice before. Was there any other mark here? With that in thought, Ria slowly circled around the pillar and studied the runes there. After a while, she managed to find the number in the rune's language, hidden within countless other runes. It recorded how many times the special magic core has been taken. Twice. Can she take it again, or would it be impossible for her to run away? The red room made Ria feel a bit uneasy, so she chose to study all the formation first. If she found any anomaly, she would not take this special magic core. But if she didn't find anything remarkable, then she would take it. After all, this special magic core is at the middle of rank 5, which would be able to help her stabilize her rank. She doubted that it could help her advance. But this was already good enough. As for the risk, if she wanted to become stronger faster, there would always be risk she had to take. Risk and chance coexist. The question is just simply whether she is willing to take this chance or not. Chapter 325, Being Chased. It took Ria more than an hour to finish studying this time. Most of them were exactly the same as what she had remembered. As for the few others, she tried to combine these formations to understand their function better and noticed the limit. The limit that this formation set. Is it really rare for magic beasts to come here and take the special magic core, or is it because these formations had only been formed some time before the earthquake happened? Ria murmured in a low voice to herself. Because she knew that these magic beasts should have been attracted by these special magic cores. Why would they leave these special magic cores be? Unless there was another reason why they couldn't take it before. Something. But Ria didn't know what it is. Is it a barrier or something like that? The problem is, if there was truly a barrier, there should be some mechanism left. If it was made with runes, she might be able to figure it out. But if it was made with magic tools, some magic tools didn't use runes, and if the mana was already exhausted, there was no way Ria could detect it from among the ruins. She chose not to think too much. Instead, she studied the numbering mechanism, and after some time she found the trigger. It was number 3. Because for these formations to be activated directly, the runes number 3 and above would be able to connect to a different formation, which would prompt the killing formation to be activated directly. But from number 2 to number 3, it would not change directly after the special magic core was taken away. Ria smiled faintly. So it's 3 times. Once the special magic core has been taken 3 times by others, this place would be nothing more than a trap to kill those who dare to enter and take it. With that in mind, Ria stood up and swiftly took the special magic core before running out. Even though the formation would not be activated instantly, it would still be faster than when the counter was 0. She had to run. Montak. Now. Roar. Yes. Ria jumped on Mo's back as he galloped across the tunnels. It took a few minutes before Ria could feel the ground rumbling, and she shivered for a moment. Turning her head to look at the dense magic beasts that came out, and some of them suddenly got pulled to the back, Ria swallowed her saliva. It seemed that she had to make sure Mo is strong enough next time. Swish. Rhea tossed a plate out to block these magic beasts from chasing after her and to block the pulling mechanisms from the formation. Thankfully, the pulling power didn't seem to be that strong. But, Runemaster, I can't move forward easily anymore. Mo was trembling because he could feel that he was about to be pulled to the back. His legs felt heavy and he was struggling to go forward. Go inside. Rhea saw Mo trembling and knew that Mo's rank was too low to fight back against the mechanism. She simply put Mo into her space and then started to run. At this moment, Rhea was glad that her physical strength had increased to be comparable to rank 2 magic warrior. Rhea also activated some defensive formation plate that she had prepared before, which would make her body lighter. Still, rumbling. The earthquake got bigger and Rhea kept on running as fast as possible. There was still some distance from the crack entrance that was closest to this place. Bang! Roar! Seeing several magic beasts coming down from the other direction, Rhea was stunned and she quickly raised another formation plate. Swish! Bang! Bang! The moment these magic beasts hit her, they would be bounced off by equivalent force and then Rhea bypassed them easily. If it was any other time, she would take her time to kill them. But this was too close. The suction power was getting stronger and stronger. These fallen magic beasts were also being pulled back. Drap! 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 Swish! Bang! Seeing a group of shadow creature coming out, Rhea's lips twitched. Did she accidentally come into the lair of these shadow creature? And looking at these shadow creature, they were all rank 3. Oh, one of them was already rank 4. Swish! Swish! These shadow creatures didn't hesitate when they saw Rhea and quickly rushed forward to attack her. Rhea clicked her tongue and raised the defensive formation plate. Haste! Arrow tracking formation magic. Several arrows were formed and headed towards these magic creatures. The rank 3 shadow creature couldn't fight back because the formation magic spell strength was equivalent to rank 3. But the rank 4 shadow creature avoided the magic perfectly. Rhea looked at the rank 4 shadow creature and her eyes narrowed slightly. Roar! Swish! Swish! The remaining shadow creature rushed to entangle her, blocking her view from the rank 4 shadow creature. Seeing that they started to use their dark element, Rhea guessed that they wanted to run away after knowing that they couldn't beat her. But how could she let them off easily? Her finger moved and more formation runes formed in front of her while the defensive formation plate was still working.
Spears tracking formation magique.
Swish! The magic power was several times the previous ones and several rank 3 shadow creatures died instantly. The magic rushed towards the rank 4 shadow magic creature. Screech! Bang! As the rank 4 shadow creatures died, it screeched loudly with the dark element imbued. Damn it! It's a bat-like shadow creature. Rhea quickly tossed these magic beasts' corpses into her world where time was frozen and then ran quickly. But in just a few seconds, countless more bat-like shadow creature rushed towards her. Bang! 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 They clashed into her defensive shield as Rhea continued to run, trying her best not to entangle with them. Lightning Storm Strike. Boom! Chapter 326. Being Chased, 2. Lightning spread out, killing countless these bat-like shadow creature as fast as possible. But the number of these bat-like shadow creature were in thousands. Only a few dozens had been killed. There were still many more left. Senior Samuel. Rhea was stunned when she saw Samuel coming. Why are you here? I should be asking this question to you. Samuel looked at the dense bat-like shadow creature in front of him and had the feeling that Rhea was provoking a nest of bat-like shadow creature. Moreover, these bat-like shadow creature were really bats in terms that they lived in damp and dark place. In this dark tunnel, it was simply the perfect environment for these bat-like shadow creature. And the number of bat-like shadow creature could easily reach thousands as long as they have enough food to live. I don't have time to explain. We have to go, Rhea said quickly. Swish! Before Rhea could say anything more, these bat-like shadow creature had already started attacking once more. Whenever there was a chance, they would definitely step forward to attack. Unfortunately, Rhea's defensive formation basically protected her from all direction. This made the attack of these bat-like shadow creature completely useless. They would only make the energy run out faster, but Rhea still has more mana stones in her world. She just had to replace it. Okowo. Samuel glanced at these bat-like shadow creature and shook his head. If they were outside, he would be willing to fight these bat-like shadow creature. While these bat-like shadow creature were a bit hard to deal with, they were actually easy to kill. All they have to do was to bring these bat-like shadow creature into the sunlight. Most of these bat-like shadow creature couldn't live under the sun. It was such a big weakness. Because of this, these bat-like shadow creature were usually not seen as a threat. Fire. Samuel simply lit up fire in front of him and saw that these bat-like shadow creature were no longer that aggressive. At the very least, they were avoiding the fire on his hand. Just as Samuel wanted to deal with these bat-like shadow creature, the ground trembled once more. Samuel's face changed. What is it? The formation is activated, Rhea replied with a gritted teeth. We have to go or we won't be able to go. With that, Rhea casted another haste formation magic spell to herself and then she started to run. It was just that her speed was so slow and these bat-like shadow creature could easily catch up with her. The formation magic spell didn't work that well. After all, it worked as amplification with her own strength as the base. As Rhea had only reached rank 2 in physical strength and couldn't even control her strength well. The improvement was not much. Samuel, who saw this, "Come up, I'll carry you. It's too slow." Rhea. She couldn't refute and jumped on Samuel's back while these bat-like shadow creature were chasing. Drap, drap, drap. In an instant, Samuel ran very quickly, far faster than these bat-like shadow creature. As a rank 5 magic warrior, Samuel's physical strength had reached the level that many people could not match. Even Carr would not be faster than him. Rhea didn't know how fast this is, but she had the feeling that this was even faster than those high-speed train. After all, even with her physical improvement in her previous life, she had never reached rank 5 in physical strength. She was too weak. "Turn this direction," Rhea quickly gave order. Bang! Bang! Rhea turned her head to the back and saw these bat-like shadow creature were suddenly screeching as they were being pulled to the back. From this alone, Rhea could guess that the coverage distance from that formation had increased rapidly. From only a few kilometers to hundreds or even thousands, she didn't know how far, but she could feel that these bat-like shadow creature were struggling. These bat-like shadow creature were already rank 3, but they were no match to the pulling from the formation behind them. It seemed that there would be another massive bloodbath soon. Bang! Some of the rank 4 bat-like shadow creature chased after them. Their flying speed was still faster than Samuel's running speed. "Can you deal with them?" Samuel asked as he continued to run. He could already see the crack in the distance and planned to go there as soon as possible. "Leave it to me." Rhea looked at these rank 4 bat-like shadow creature and quickly casted the magic formation.
Spears tracking formation magique.
Bang! 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 These bat-like shadow creature were killed instantly and their corpses were thrown into the space by Rhea. Since they were put in the location where time was frozen, they would die even if they were not dead yet before. Because living beings couldn't live there. Boom! Samuel reached the crack and jumped out without hesitation. Tep. The moment they went out of the crack, the suction from the formation no longer came towards them. But they have no time to relax, because they could sense that there were more rank 3 magic beasts around them. These magic beasts should have run out of the crack after they sensed the terrifying suction force from the formation inside. Ah! Rhea looked at these magic beasts. At this moment, she suddenly understood why the magic beasts in Cydia area had become more powerful. The pot is on her head. Who made her took the special magic core before and caused the death of countless magic beasts down there? Cough. Let's deal with them first. Samuel had some questions to ask Rhea, but at this moment it was more important for them to deal with these magic beasts first. Rhea nodded and jumped off Samuel's back. She didn't want to hold him back. Bang! 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 Chapter 327, Ancient Runes. Rank 3 magic beasts' corpses littered the entire area. The combined forces of both Samuel and Rhea was far from what these rank 3 magic beasts could possibly match. They have to bring those of higher rank. However, Rhea still felt her mana emptied. She was busy running away and then used several rank 4 formation magic to deal with these rank 4 magic beasts. Now, she had to clean up these rank 3 magic beasts, which made most of her mana exhausted. It's really risky, but it's worth it. Rhea thought about the special magic core that she had put in her world and smiled faintly. This could help her to consolidate her rank quickly. But thinking about the one near the crack where they came from before, Rhea felt that she should make formation to block these magic beasts to prevent them from coming towards the base. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if they had to be chased out of the crack like this. It's done. Samuel looked at the pile of magic beasts' corpses and took those that he killed himself. The rest were killed by Rhea so she could claim them. Yes, it's done. Rhea didn't notice any other male beasts nearby, so they should have cleaned up the magic beasts in this area. But she didn't know whether they could clean up those magic beasts from other areas. So, can you tell me why you are being chased by magic beasts every time you're in the crack? Samuel asked and looked at Rhea helplessly. The last time they traveled in the crack together, they were also being chased by these magic beasts. And at that time, the two of them were only rank 4 magic warriors, so when they faced a lot of rank 3 magic beasts, they were somewhat exhausted. Now that they were rank 5. But the magic beasts that chased after them was no longer rank 3 but rank 4 magic beasts. The improvement of these magic beasts were really fast. At the very least, it seemed to be on par with their own improvement. Which seemed to be incredulous because these people who returned from that world were basically recultivating. They didn't have much bottleneck when they advanced because they have reached that rank before. Their bodies might be different, but they knew very well what they would face when they wanted to reach the next rank. So they were calm. Most of the time, what they needed was simply the resources needed to make their breakthrough. I took a special magic core, Rhea replied as she looked at Samuel. From the formation. Samuel's lips twitched. After that, he was stunned and he looked at Rhea with frown. You mean, someone put the special magic core in the formation down there? Yes and no, Rhea replied. What do you mean? Because the formations are strange, Rhea replied. When she looked at those formations, it looked both ancient and new at the same time. More importantly, the attraction of these special magic cores were very obvious. So how could they remain the same if the formation had been operating for a long time? Unless these special cores were protected before. But why would they do that? What do you mean by strange? There are some runes that are not usually used but used in this formation, as if the person who draw it doesn't know that there's the simplification version. Rhea replied with a shrug. Those ancient types of runes should have disappeared in time, and not many people want to use it because it's too complicated. And the simplified version also allowed the mana to be transported more easily. This will allow the formation to be stronger. Even if the degree was not much, but every improvement is a good thing. After all, they could only improve bit by bit to achieve the best result. Ancient runes. Samuel was stunned when he heard Rhea said that. He thought for a moment and then asked, "How many ancient runes are there?" A few hundred thousands? Rhea replied and then blinked her eyes. I did learn both types, but I usually used the simplified version for magic spells, and used the ancient for formation plate because it's stabler. The ancient runes were more convenient when carving a formation and making talisman, because the mana flow easily and it was really stable. But the simplified version would make the mana flow faster, and in some case, there were parts where the connection was not stable enough. This was something that Rhea noticed. She asked her teacher in that world about this, but the other party told her that most people would not care about it. And the simplified version was made in order to pass down the runes. Because not every era had someone who could memorize all of these runes. At that time, Rhea chose to memorize both of them because she felt that it was very easy to memorize. Since it might be useful, she might as well memorize all of them at the same time. Samuel? For some reasons, he now felt glad that he had no talent to become Runemaster. Otherwise, he would be haunted by who knows how many runes in his dream when he thought about this matter. Pushing the thoughts to the back, Samuel sighed and looked at the crack. Do you want to go back now? Now? Are you not afraid that these magic beasts will come out and hunt you again? Rhea asked with her lips twitched. She would not enter yet. At the very least, she would not go back until the riots stopped and these magic beasts no longer came out to run away from the formation. Otherwise, what awaited them would be nothing more than battle and more battles. She was not Peter who would like such tough battle. In that case, let's wait for a while and find something else to do. Chapter 328. Find something else to do? Rhea thought for a moment and then asked, "Do you know the direction to City B base?" City B base? Samuel repeated and then turned to look at the street sign. Upon seeing that they were already in City B right now, he had just realized that they must have walked so far away. However, I know the direction, but this is night time and they will not open the gate at this hour, Samuel replied. City A base had strict regulation. One of them was to close the gate after certain hour at night. This was because they had to make sure that the base would be fine if there were magic beasts suddenly attacking at night. For safety reason, no one dared to open the gate at night. Even the people who lived in the base was encouraged to stay at home when it was nighttime and not allowed to come out. Anyway, there was no nightlife in City A base. Many kinds of entertainment places hadn't been built yet. I'll wait then, Rhea replied and then took out some magic beast's blood and started to draw runes around the crack. This was a killing formation so that those magic beasts that tried to come out during this time would be killed. To be honest, the battle between humans and these magic beasts were simply a never-ending battle. Because they wanted a place to live. Samuel watched as Rhea set up a formation quietly. He silently meditated to recover his mana. Once Rhea was done, she took Mo out again and then ordered him to go in the direction where City B base is. Wait, are you planning to let me run there? Samuel asked with his lips twitched. While his physical strength was indeed strong, it was not very comfortable to run in the middle of the night like this. Looking at his watch, he could see that this was 2 a.m. in the morning. It was really cold. You can find other transportation if you want to, Rhea replied and blinked her eyes. You're too heavy and Mo can't carry you. Samuel, do you think I weighed 1 ton? He looked at Rhea speechlessly and shook his head. Even though his weight would increase slightly due to the accumulated energy as a magic warrior, but it would not exceed normal people's standard. At most, the BMI calculation had to be adjusted slightly. Fine, I'll run. It's just a few kilometers. Samuel sighed in the end and then his eyes landed on Mo. His eyes narrowed. How did Mo manage to reach late rank 2 in such a short period of time? I give him the special magic core, Rhea replied calmly. The broken special magic core was still a special magic core anyway. Samuel, so prodigal? From what he knew, a special magic core is a very important resources for magicians. While magic warrior could also use them, but it was not a necessity. Because if they were to take it, the amount of mana in their body would be too much and it might make it harder to control. After all, the higher the rank of the special magic core, the more mana they would receive suddenly. For magic warrior who was used to be lacking in mana, it was a strange situation. Of course, some magic warrior would still take it, because this meant that they would be able to use various magic spell to add them in battle and didn't have to be so strict with themselves. What's the rank? Rank 5 special magic core. Samuel took a deep breath and suddenly felt pain in his heart. He felt that if he were to have these special magic core, he would hand it over to his friends so that they could reach rank 4 quickly. After all, the large amount of mana from these special magic core would allow them to advance so quickly. But after thinking about it for a moment, Samuel tossed the thoughts away. That special magic core belonged to Rhea. So whatever she did with it, it was her right. He had no right to interfere. But it would not erase the fact that he did feel some pain when he thought about how valuable it would be for other humans. Rhea saw Samuel like this and was amused. To be honest, she did feel the pain when she decided to hand over the special magic core to Mo. because the special magic core was something that humans could absorb directly. It seemed to be a waste to give it to Mo. But that special magic core has been taken by other magic beasts before and the mana was stained. Even if Rhea were to use it, she would have to purify it for a long time. For Rhea, it would be too time-consuming. Rather than doing that, she better handed it over to Mo so that this white tiger could grow stronger faster. So Mo should be able to reach rank 3 soon. Samuel calculated according to the energy contained within the special magic core. Yes, Rhea nodded. If he's lucky, he can reach early rank 4, but if he's not lucky, peak rank 3 is already good enough. The difference between rank 3 and rank 4 was really big. So it would be hard to directly leap to rank 4 from rank 2 even with the help of a rank 5 special magic core. Well, half rank 5 since some part of the energy within that special magic core was lost before. I see. Samuel nodded. Let's go now. Drap, drap, drap. Mo started to gallop towards City B base with Rhea riding on top of him. Samuel saw this and shook his head. He could only exert his strength and rushed forward to follow along. The two of them didn't really communicate on the way as they were busy recovering their mana. The battle before had basically exhausted their mana. Chapter 329, Demonic Magician's History. City B base was different from City A base. At the very least, the size alone was very different. If City A base kept on expanding and seemed to increase in size every day, City B base's size was only around the size of 2 stadiums. This was mostly because their inner area is indeed the stadium, and then there was another wall erected around it. This could be said to be putting a good use of the stadium. As for how the construction inside was, they didn't know. Rhea and Samuel both stopped some distance away from City B base and selected a relatively intact building to stay for the night. There were still a few more hours before morning, and for these two people who had reached rank 5, they just needed to meditate and recover their mana. As for sleeping, they didn't really need it. At this point, meditating can completely replace sleeping. And the effect from meditating was actually better than sleeping because it could make them feel much better after they woke up in the morning. Rhea didn't meditate all the time because her consciousness entered her world. Since Samuel is nearby, she could not blatantly enter her world. These rank 4 magic beasts came at the right time. Rhea smiled happily when she saw the few corpses of rank 4 magic beasts. She has been thinking about finding some rank 4 magic beasts and then they came knocking on her door. She would naturally not be polite. But still, if there were more higher ranked magic beasts, it was estimated that humans would not be able to survive for a long time. Because the strength was not proportional. Rhea shook her head and stopped thinking about it. The few things that she sell to the officials also needed time to be fully implemented. During this period of time, it would be better for her to focus on other things. For example, refining the blood essence of these magic beasts. To be honest, the practice of using blood essence came from these demonic magicians. Rhea had looked at the forum and saw some things posted from the Alden family, promoting their family's method. Dina Alden herself rarely appeared in the videos, but whenever she did, it would be earth-shattering news. Could be said that City J was able to sustain itself. Dina Alden played a big role in it. The demonic magicians could be said to be a special profession in that world. Because this consisted of magicians who originally had low talent but wanted to defy fate and reach the peak. For magicians with low talent, they have been told from the very beginning that they would never go far in this path. But how could people be willing to accept it? No matter how low the talent is, as long as they still have some talent, they would definitely try their best to grasp it. Unfortunately, the shackle of talent made it difficult for those without talent to go further down this road. And some magicians were unwilling. So they created a path. A bloody path where they seized other people's blood essence in order to strengthen themselves. It was said that magicians' talent could be raised in this way, and through the blood essence of other magician, they could steal their livelong cultivation. This magician started slowly but surely, killing the other magicians around him and slowly rise up and expanded his target to others. Rhea didn't know the details for sure because this magician was born in the ancient time. He or she had extremely low talent but didn't want to give up. But facing the situation where many other magicians were rising quickly while he or she could only be lagging behind, extreme unwillingness was born in his or her heart. And what followed was the birth of this method. It could be said that this person should be very smart because based on the record, his act of killing other magicians were not found until it was too late. He had reached extremely high rank and carved a bloody path for himself. And this path was named as Demonic Magician. The main reason why it was special was because the magic they used was a bit different from normal magicians. While they could use some low-ranked magic that normal magicians could use, but they could not use the higher-ranked magic after rank 4. Because the mana is not enough. Yes, demonic magicians have fewer mana. Instead, they replaced it with what they called as blood energy. It was the energy that they gained from absorbing the blood essence of countless other magicians. Once this path was formed and spread, caused a bloody storm, the act of killing people became the norm and chaos descendant all over the world. For the sake of getting stronger, it has become normal for them to kill their friends and comrades. For 100 years, chaos descended everywhere. Until many people came to oppose this method and created series of methods that could prevent these demonic magicians. Every path has their own ways. Rhea didn't know exactly about other profession, but the Runemaster who had reached rank 4 would never be able to have their blood essence taken. because the runes they carved when they advanced to rank 4 would prevent it. If their blood essence was about to be taken out, the heart would be destroyed and the opponent would also be cursed by countless formations. The backlash was so strong that the demonic magicians avoided Runemasters after only 10 years since the announcement. Because they knew that attacking Runemaster and trying to take their blood essence was the same as seeking death. Who knows what kind of formation that these Runemaster would set up in their heart that would trigger upon their death. Just thinking about it made many people's scalp numb. Rhea herself had some restriction in her heart, but she would never tell these things to anyone. Chapter 330. Demonic Magician's History. 2. Because these could be considered her final trump card. Once it was used, it meant that she will die. Cough. Back to the topic. The demonic magician was established and it could not be eradicated. After all, the number of people with low magic talent was much higher compared to those with high magic talent. And these people who didn't want to stop at low rank could only turn their head towards the demonic magician's path. Or they have to become magic warrior. But the second one could only happen if they have higher talent to become one, or it would have been useless. Rhea herself knew that when she found out that her magic element percentage was equal. She was also shaken. Because she knew very well that it would block her future path greatly, as it was impossible for her to improve all elements at the same time. Resources would not be enough. And she was nothing more than an ordinary person. There were also many others who took the test at the same time as her in that world decided to become demonic magician. Because they knew very well that if they couldn't become a magician, becoming a demonic magician was also another path that they could take. But this was a bloody and dangerous path. The various measures against the demonic magician was made by people from various other professions. There were even some magic tools to protect one's heart and would destroy it when someone tried to take their blood essence. In this way, the demonic magician's path became extremely difficult. After all, no one would be willing to become nourishment of other people's magic. They also wanted to become powerful. The end result is very simple. These demonic magicians would target each other. They have to be careful in case their comrade would stab them on the back. Because no one knew when their good brother would suddenly turn their face because they wanted their blood essence. Could be said that the demonic magician truly walked a bloody path. Thankfully, their ancestor, the magician who started this path for the first time, created technique to refine the blood essence from animals. This would allow these demonic magicians to grow stronger through hunting magic beasts instead of going after other magicians. This way, these demonic magicians were split into two. One of them would only hunt other magicians while the other one would hunt magic beasts to take their blood essence. To be honest, taking other magicians' blood essence sounded better. Because they didn't need a long time to refine, as the magic beast's blood essence was not exactly suitable for them to absorb directly and had to be purified first. This definitely takes much longer. However, many people still picked the magic beast's path. The main reason was because the founder of this path eventually died because of mental illness. Rhea didn't know the specific details because it was covered up in that world. What she knew was that taking blood essence from other magicians were not that easy. There would still be remnants of thoughts from these magicians when they were alive that was absorbed into his body. Through years of accumulation, it made the demonic magician unable to think clearly. In the end, he became a fool and unable to escape from his inner world. It was terrifying. In history alone, Rhea had heard that many demonic magicians eventually never woke up again after falling asleep. Because their mind was trapped by the cage they made by themselves unconsciously. That was more or less the history of these demonic magicians. And the method to refine the blood essence from animal was basically a public information that everyone knew. This was another method for these demonic magicians to recruit people to join their path. As for who spread this news, it was naturally those demonic magicians who wanted to take other magicians' blood essence. Rhea had learned this method. But she never absorbed the blood essence of these animals. Instead, she was using these blood essence to make formation. Because the mana contained within the blood essence of these magic beasts could be used to make formation at the rank higher than these magic beasts' blood itself. For the poor Rhea, this was a very good thing. She could hunt some lower-ranked magic beasts and then refine the blood essence to make higher-ranked formation. Otherwise, it would be difficult for her when she had just reached rank 7 to hunt other rank 7 magic beasts. Those magic beasts were much more powerful and smarter at that rank. And Rhea's strength mostly came from these formations. So she could only refine the rank 6 magic beast's blood essence to make a few rank 7 formation plate and then killed countless rank 7 magic beasts to get their blood and so on. It was very tiring. Yet at the same time it was also fulfilling. Rhea smiled when she thought about those days and then focused her attention to refine the blood essence from these rank 4 magic beasts. Thankfully, the refining process didn't take a long time. Just 1 hour. Rhea refined all the blood and only obtained 1 bottle of blood essence from these rank 4 magic beasts. Yes, it was not much. But this would be enough to make 3 rank 5 formation as long as she used it sparingly. Rhea sighed as she rubbed the bottle in her mind. Runemaster's path is really a path of a miser. She had to figure out a way to earn more money later. After all, she had used up a few rank 4 formation plate in order to protect herself not long ago. Sigh. A Runemaster needed a lot of accumulation. Otherwise, they would just be a weak magician. And all of these required a lot of resources. resources that Ria had to fight by herself because there were not many people who could obtain it. Chapter 331. Deal. Should I figure out a way to increase humans' overall strength? Ria felt that if she wanted to be able to get more beneficial resources from the officials and the others, then they have to reach higher rank first. Otherwise, she could only trade for some magic beasts' corpses and some magic cores. While these were quite useful so far, but Ria also knew that the value of the lower-ranked magic beast's corpse and the lower-ranked magic cores would become lower and lower in her eyes. In other words, she wouldn't have much use of them anymore. With her making better formation and so on, was there any need for her to use these things anymore? It seemed to be useless. Aside from making some things from lower-ranked materials to sell or to give it to her friends, there was no other use for Ria. But after thinking for a while, Ria chose to forget about it. The situation in City A and City B should be abnormal simply because of her intervention when she took these special magic core. In a way, she did need to help them a bit. It seemed that she would take her time to clean up these magic beasts in the crack from time to time around this area. Naturally, after the formation stopped. After thinking about this, Ria opened her eyes and saw Samuel was already done and walking around the area. Through her perception, she couldn't sense any magic beasts around them. It's quiet, Ria said. There are also military in City B base, Samuel replied. They participated in the magic beasts corpse trade some time ago, and I think you should have seen their situation. Ria nodded. There were a lot of magic beasts corpses sent from City B base, much more than other cities. Even though Ria had already came here in the past, the magic beast who took the special magic core should have accidentally triggered the formation. This caused many magic beasts to be pulled forward, and this might attract those higher-ranked magic beasts that live deeper in the crack. They have more magic beasts corpses and their ranks are also higher. Ria thought about it and asked, do you think that there will be more higher-ranked magic warrior in City B base? With better resources, people would be able to advance faster. Anyway, the training method was also available and could be assessed at any time. I doubt it. Samuel looked at the base in front of him. They might have received help from others and have to divide the resources. Rank 2 magic beasts couldn't be killed so easily. Ria nodded when she heard that. You're right. Let's go inside. After that, Ria waved her hand and a big bag appeared behind her. This made her look like ordinary person who was roaming around and planned to take refuge. But if one were to pay close attention, they would think that Ria's appearance was a bit strange. She was a bit too clean for a refugee. After all, Ria had no plan to make herself look dirty just to pretend. It was unnecessary. Mo, go back. Roar. With Mo being sent back, Samuel looked at Ria's appearance and understood why she did this. He thought for a moment and also took out a bag from his space storage scroll, a military bag. You bought supplies too? Ria asked in surprise. I carried several space storage scroll with me, Samuel replied and then added. If you have rank 2 space storage scroll, I would like to trade with you. Rank 2 space storage scroll? Ria thought about the paper project that she was doing in her space. It was not done yet, and aside from the paper, she could only use jade and those bones. After thinking for a moment, Ria took out a relatively thin bone around the size of a palm and then handed it over to Samuel. This is a rank 2 space storage scroll. The appearance might not be what you think, but I don't have any other materials, Ria said as she handed it over to him. In exchange, help me to make weapon parts. After trying to make it herself, the result was not very good. This made Ria realize that her abilities were limited. But when she saw those blueprints, she knew that they were made of several parts, and as long as she knew how to assemble it, she could still make the gun. Of course, before she assembled it, she would have to add some runes. Samuel arched his eyebrows and he smiled brightly. How many do you want? 1,000 sets for this handgun, Ria replied as she pointed to the space storage scroll and showed the one she wanted to make. It should be enough to replace it? 1,000 sets. Samuel looked at the gun that Ria wanted to make and knew that it was just a normal handgun, which was not that hard to make. The factory has been rebuilt by his father, but it would still take some time to be able to produce the complete set of a weapons part. However, there should be still some time. It'll take a month or maybe a bit more to make that much. Can I reduce it to 500 sets for every rank 2 space storage scroll? Samuel asked. As you know, the materials are not that easy to find in the current situation. You can use those metal element magic warrior to create metal with their mana. Ria rolled her eyes, but she still thought about it and said, 700 for this one. If I want to make a sniper rifle, then it's 400 sets for every rank 2 space storage scrolls. Samuel smiled brightly and said, deal. For him, it was not that hard to make these, but it would definitely take time to collect all the necessary resources they needed because of the earthquake. Thankfully, there were also metal element magic warrior who could make metal. Chapter 332. Entrance fee. But the metal's concentration these people made usually needed to be tempered first. After all, the structure was sometimes a bit. Samuel sighed when he thought about it. The two of them stopped talking about this after reaching a deal, and the 1 rank 2 space storage scroll was taken by Samuel as an advance payment. Anyway, Ria didn't really need that much of these weapon sets, and the first batch was most likely to be scrapped by her experiments. The waste materials could be handed over to Samuel for reprocessing later. This seemed to be a good idea. Ria finished the thoughts in her mind and sighed deeply. She had the feeling that she had somehow become supplier to a businessman one way or another. Not that it was bad, though. The two of them stood in front of City B base and lined up. There were also some other people who had arrived and started lining up. Aside from that, there were also many people who camped outside City B base. To be honest, the situation where people camped outside the base was common. There were also some people like this outside City A base back then. But they quickly escaped during the time when the magic beast tide happened and hid in various places. After all, to enter the base they have to register themselves and so on. When the magic beasts rushed in, there were still some people lining up and they were temporarily put inside. Afterwards, they would be registered one by one. City A base's outer area could accommodate enough people. But there were still some people who could only stay in tents because the lack of accommodation houses. City B base was different. Their base was smaller and it seemed that they didn't have enough manpower and materials to build better wall to protect the people inside. Looking at the current situation of these people, Rhea had the feeling that they were all unable to support so many people. These people needed food to eat, place to stay, and many others. It would not be easy to let so many people live so comfortably in City B base. Moreover, the safety of these people when they were staying in City B base was also a part for consideration. There was no way they would let these people inside if they couldn't even protect them. It would be a waste of time. So many refugee, Rhea commented. Last night she didn't pay much attention. But right now, she could see that City B base should not be in a good situation. There were more people than what she thought and none of them were living well. This is a normal situation, Samuel said quietly. He could also tell that the current situation in City B base was not very good. Because there are not many powerful people and not enough resources, they could only help limited number of people. To be honest, if it was not because of him and his father, it was estimated that City A base would not be any better. Because he understood very well that the amount of resources were very limited. Without enough resources, who would dare to let so many refugees come in? He dared to do it because he's strong and there was more than enough resources in City A base. Coupled with the land reclamation that he did, it was estimated that there would be more food produced in a few months' time. With Rhea's formation, the food could also be produced faster and it contained mana that was good for their body. At that time, the food that came from before the earthquake happened would be worthless. But it was only for him. Because in many areas, the food was still very valuable with many people aiming for it. That should be their way of replenishing their supplies for the time being. Rhea pointed to the front. She could see that these people handed some supplies to the guards who were guarding the base if they wanted to enter. This should be the methods to make sure that the base could still support these people. But at the same time, this would limit the number of people who entered the base. Of course, the base would also collect food by themselves. After all, there was military who worked for them and would help to collect enough resources. Yes. Samuel nodded and then smiled faintly. Why? Do you think that it's not fair for them to do this?
No.
Rhea shook her head. They needed to survive and the base is also a kind of protection against these magic beasts. Without these bases, there's no way that many of them could survive when these magic beasts arrived. This was something that Rhea knew very well. With the increase of strength of these magic beasts, it would be harder and harder to kill these magic beasts. Unless they have some strength themselves, they would have to rely on the bases to protect them. And this was what most ordinary people have to do. Only a small number of people dared to live by themselves because they have the ability to do so. City A base should also collect supplies, but because we have enough, we changed the method early on, Samuel said slowly. They can enter the base and stay for free after registering and verification. But afterwards, they would have to work if they wanted anything. Could be said that City A base was already very kind. They would not give everything for free. For those who dared to make trouble in City A base, they would have long been kicked out of the base. The people and the soldiers in City A base was strong enough to do this. It was also because of this that City A base seemed to be no different from how cities before earthquake operated. But this was nothing more than illusion. Illusion brought by strength. Chapter 333. City B base. Without some requirement, there would be no way for City A base to do this. And City B base in front of them was already the best example. Rhea could tell very clearly that City B base's leaders should want a peaceful place where the citizen lived in orderly manner. But how could it be possible? When there's no law to restrain them, all these people could think was how to survive. So what they needed was enough strength to protect themselves and also to maintain the order in the base. In this way, the requirement to prepare supplies before entering the base was born. Because in this way, it would prevent the base from overcrowding and it would also prevent these people from coming in to make trouble. Because when they wanted to enter, they have to pay supplies. These supplies would never be returned. If they made trouble but didn't manage to grab supplies, doesn't it mean that their previous supplies were gone? In the current era, every piece of supply was very important and no one would be willing to squander it. Besides, how many people could be faster than the speed of bullet? These soldiers would not hesitate to shoot them if they made trouble. At this moment, those who dared to make trouble and attack the soldiers would have to be prepared to be suppressed heavily by the soldiers because they would not let any troublemaker off easily. Every base has its own way to deal with the situation. At the very least, they're doing the same thing in the essence, Rhea said quietly. Doing the same thing in the essence? Samuel's lips curled up slightly and he nodded. Indeed, that's true. Looking at the people who stay honestly outside with their shabby tents, Rhea sighed deeply. Even when she saw the destroyed city in City A and some random roaming people, she never thought too much. But at this moment, Rhea felt deeply that this was truly the end of the world. A brand new time had arrived and people were forced to adapt to this time. If they couldn't adapt in time, what awaited them would be nothing more than death. It was that simple. But it was also because of this that Rhea felt somewhat sad. Why did they have to come? Without these magic beasts coming out to the surface of the green planet, then they would not have to face such a thing at all. She could still live a comfortable life as the ordinary person and used magic secretly to make her life better. There was no worry for food and drink. She would train quietly. But now, she had to fight against these magic beasts and to grow stronger. She took some risks on her own. Rhea took a deep breath. It was indeed sad to see these things. But this was now their reality, their world, and there was nothing that she could do to help everyone. Can the supplies in her hand feed millions or billions of people who were still alive in the entire green planet? No, it can't. Forget about transportation to such a large distance. She could not even help in the areas outside city so easily, unless she wanted to wander around. But Rhea didn't want to. She feels some sympathy and sadness for these people. But she could not sacrifice her own pursuit to help them. If they were in front of her eyes, she might be able to do some things to help them. But if they were too far away, then there would be nothing that she could do. Samuel stood beside Rhea, waiting patiently for the line to move. They were not that far from the front and it should only take a few minutes. And during this time, he could sense the faint mana fluctuation from Rhea beside him. For someone at Rhea's rank, it was rare for her to let her mana fluctuate without hiding it. But he could guess that it should be related to emotions. Because another method for their mana to fluctuate without using magic spell was when their emotion was agitated. He looked around. There were many people who were living with difficulties around. They were struggling to even get a sip of water and now lie on the ground, waiting for their death. Some of them dragged their tired body to go out and collect some supplies in the ruins. Everyone was doing their best to survive through their own way. But it was indeed very hard. Do you want to help? Samuel asked in a low voice. Rhea raised her head and looked at Samuel. Seeing his calm gaze, she knew that he was not perturbed in the slightest bit. She knew that it was useless to care so much about everyone around her. But it was inevitable that she felt a bit bad when she looked at them, because they truly looked miserable.
No.
Rhea shook her head. She couldn't help all of them. Even if she gave them some food to let them survive for the day, how about tomorrow and the next day? Can she provide them with food every single day? It's impossible. And after she gave them food, would they be able to consume these supplies on their own? There would be many other people coveting their resources. Because even if these resources were nothing in Rhea's eyes, they were very precious for these people. She might have kindness in her heart, but she would not do unnecessary things needlessly, especially not in the current situation. Next, the sound of the guard woke Rhea up from her thoughts and she looked at the man. How much resources? Temporary card can let you stay for 5 days, cost 2 kilograms of grains, and permanent card needs 10 kilograms of grains for 2 people. The guard replied without hesitation. 5 kilograms of grains? Rhea blinked her eyes and felt that it was not that much. Chapter 334. City B Base 2. Then again, Rhea has so much resources in her space. But for a family, they would usually only keep a few kilograms of rice in their home. After all, one person would not eat 1 kilogram of rice every day unless he's a big man who ate a lot. So this amount was actually still quite affordable for them. As long as they still have enough resources, they could go into the base. But Rhea also knew that the earthquake should have destroyed some places and also consumed the resources that some people had in their hands. Even if they wanted to take out the resources to live in the base, they couldn't do it. It has only been 2 months or so since the earthquake first happened, but many people were already on the verge of death. It was really miserable. Okay. Rhea took out 2 bags of rice from her bag and said, temporary pass for 2 people. The main reason for getting the temporary pass was because it didn't really need to register their name. It was just that their temporary pass had the date written about how long it could be used. If they wanted to go in after coming out, they had to show their temporary pass. But if they were to get the permanent pass, they would have to register their name and bound an account to themselves. For Rhea and Samuel, it was unnecessary. This was very different from City A base that basically wouldn't let unknown people entering. City B base was freer, but it would cost them quite a lot of resources. After all, if people were to hear the price of these 2 passes, they would want to trade for the permanent one without hesitation. The temporary pass was really a scam. But for a visitor like Samuel and Rhea, the temporary pass would be better. Yes. After getting the 2 cards, Rhea handed one of them to Samuel. Seeing Rhea's operation, Samuel arched his eyebrows and then asked, "Want me to eat soft rice? Considering that you have been using my ability for your work, it's not an exaggeration to say that you have done it for a while. Isn't it?" Rhea teased back. Samuel nearly choked when he heard Rhea's words. Because it was true. In the past few days, he kept on coming to Rhea to ask for help about some matters related to the base. After all, even Samuel had to admit that these Runemaster's methods were simply the best to deal with the problem in front of them. He only know how to fight. So Samuel could only look at Rhea helplessly, while she waved her hand in good mood as she walked around. It was rare to be able to see such helpless expression on Samuel's face. Do you even bring rice or perhaps flour?
No.
Samuel looked at his space and had to shake his head. Even though he did prepare some food for himself in his space, most of them were the cooked rice and then the rest were the dishes and even dried meat. After all, time would stop in the space storage scroll and there would not be any problem to put any kind of supplies inside. It would not turn bad. Why should he brought raw rice when he wanted to go to the front line? He was not trying to move his place but to fight. Who had time to cook? Anyway, Samuel's cooking skill was not very good and he didn't really expect himself to be able to cook anything well. It's nothing much to pay for 1 kilogram of rice, Rhea replied. She has too much of this in her space anyway. Samuel could only nod helplessly. Afterwards, Rhea looked around and looked at the few buildings that was built crookedly in confusion. Would anyone dare to live in these buildings? I think that they need better designer. Even Samuel was stunned when he saw the crooked building that was about to fall in front of him. He couldn't think why the base would build such a poor building here. The two of them saw a group of people walking out of the building, clearly not affected by the situation of the poor building. The others also didn't pass a glance to the building. Clearly, it was a common occurrence. While Rhea was confused, she continued walking and then she wanted to go back directly. Because all the buildings in City B base was crooked. If it was not tilted to the right, it would be tilted to the back. There was even one that had lost its roof and they could still see people who were crowded sleeping there without being afraid of falling down. It was outrageous. Samuel looked at this scene and was speechless. At this moment, he suddenly wanted to use his real identity to go and check the military. This place looked like it was in great state of disrepair. This is the base? It would not be an exaggeration to call it a ruin. At this moment, both of them felt that it might be better for these people to stay outside rather than staying here. They continued to walk until they reached the entrance of the stadium. The entrance to the inner side of the base. There were several guards guarding there and looking at their appearance. Rhea turned to look at Samuel. Since when did the Martial Arts Association has such a good relationship with the Magic Association? Yes, the dress of these guards came from the military, which was normal, and then there were also people from the other two association. Samuel was stunned too. I guess they have better relationship in other bases? Samuel said with a frown. In City A base, it was impossible for the people from the Martial Arts Association to cooperate together with the Magic Association. He himself would not let those people from the Magic Association enter the base if it was not for the beast tide not long ago. Chapter 335, Trade. Afterwards, seeing that these magicians from the Magic Association worked very well to repel the magic beasts, Samuel chose to ignore their presence. His father was the one responsible to communicate with them. As for what deal his father came to them, Samuel didn't know. And he himself didn't care that much. As much as he wanted to deal with Murin, Samuel could also see that these magicians from the Magic Association were still quite powerful to a certain degree. At the very least, the few at the top has some ability. As for those at the bottom, well, the scene of them using magic was still haunting in many people's memory. Even though so, Samuel didn't want to have much conflict with these people from the Magic Association for the time being. They have done well during the Magic Beasts tide some time ago. Aside from the fact that these magicians from the Magic Association basically hurt their friends 800 and hurt their enemies 1000 from their methods, there were nothing wrong. But Samuel was not willing to cooperate in mission together with these magicians from the Magic Association. At most, allow them to go to City A base occasionally. They have some strength to deal with the magic beasts and for most people, they should be useful, Rhea said as she looked at these magicians from the Magic Association who were standing as guards. As for the reason why she knew they were magicians from the Magic Association, it has something to do with their attire. No one else would wear such exaggerated robe in such a hot day. Many people would rather wear a big hat and wear as little as possible so that they would not be scorched to death. And these magicians from the Magic Association were all wearing robe. Well, thankfully it was not so exaggerated. Otherwise, Rhea felt that they would hurt people's eyes more than hurting their enemies in that way. Maybe. Samuel walked to the front, intending to talk with these guards. He wanted to know the situation in the inner area. However, before he could go there, another person had already walked and was stopped by these guards. The people from the two associations seemed to work as the guards here too. Stop! Can't I enter the stadium? The man asked in confusion. Everyone who entered City B base could naturally see the big stadium behind them. The inside has been modified to be able to accommodate a lot of people, but there was still a limit to how many people could enter at the same time. This is the inner area. Only people who have permanent resident and have made a lot of contribution to the base could enter, the guard said sternly. How much? The guard raised his hand, which showed 5 and the man's eyes widened. 500 contribution points? No, it's 5,000. You're ripping off people $$%va**. Hearing the shouts and so on, Rhea shook her head. The so-called contribution point was something that was commonly used in these bases. In order to keep the economy operating, they needed to secure some kind of currency that could be used in their city. As for using it nationwide, that would have to wait until the situation stabilizes. Right now, it would be better for these bases to have localized power and control the people around the base. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to make the base. Things might change in the future, though. It seems we can't enter without paying enough. Samuel said as he looked at Rhea beside him as if asking, "Do you want to enter the inner area?" Rhea looked at Samuel for a moment and then shook her head. "It doesn't matter and it's not that important. It's impossible for an important place to be entered at will. But the management in City B base is actually quite lax. Because in City A base, people could not enter the inner area without being screened first. Having enough contribution points alone was simply not enough, and Samuel didn't want to risk the lives of the people who lives in the inner area, which was the villa areas. They have already expanded twice, and even the first outer area around the inner area had started to be reorganized. But City B base directly let people enter after paying enough contribution points. Rhea could only think that this base was severely lacking in money. They kept on asking for resources left and right. "Let's walk around and see if there's any trade area," Rhea suggested. One of the reasons why she came here was to dump those excess resources that she has. But she would not be giving them for free. The trade area should be a good place. "Black market," Samuel said and then continued to walk. The size of City B base was not that big. It wouldn't take long for them to completely circle over the entire area. And if there was any trade place or anything like that, it should be placed in outer area. Sure enough, they found a big open area where people were basically selling items along the street. These people were putting the items they wanted to sell close to them. Seeing their appearance like this, Rhea looked at the guards who was standing at the side leisurely and her eyes narrowed. "The atmosphere is wrong. This is unprotected trade area," Samuel said in a low voice when he noticed how these people put the things they wanted to sell, even though most of them were trashes in his eyes, but it could be useful for some other people. Rhea nodded. She could see that. It seemed that City B base didn't care too much about the refugee and only cared about the supplies they could get. If these people wanted to get some supplies, they had to work hard by themselves. So it was really not easy. Chapter 336. Trade 2. After sighing, Rhea started to look around. She saw that these people were really putting anything they thought valuable. From broken furniture to stones, they were all there. As for the valuable items, there were also some jewelries and so on. But Rhea was not interested in gold. She couldn't use them for anything. And aside from looking beautiful, they were practically a bit useless in this era. Unless she was some electrical engineer who could make the chip, because there were some parts that used gold. But those things usually required precise machine to make and not exactly handmade. Tossing the thoughts away, Rhea continued her stroll. There were many items there, and then her eyes landed on a few jade that some people try to sell. "How much is it for the jade?" Rhea asked. She still has some jade in her world, but it would not do her any harm to get a few more. The man raised his head when he heard Rhea's question and quickly said, "This? Give me a bag of rice?" "A bag of rice?" Rhea was stunned when she heard this request and could clearly felt how worthless these things have become. For most people here, what they needed the most was to survive. Only after their lives were better would it be possible for them to think about getting stronger and everything. Rhea sighed and nodded. "I'll give you 1 bag for every jade you have." The man beamed when he heard that and quickly collected the jades in front of him. There were 5 in total, and Rhea took out 5 kilograms of rice from her bag. Anyway, 1 bag is 1 kilogram for her. When the man saw the large number of rice, he bowed, took it and then run away after grabbing the rest of his things. Seeing this, Rhea looked at the side and saw that some people were looking in their direction too. It seemed that they have been targeted by these people. "I think they're interested in my bag." Rhea looked at the bag behind her and shook her head. There was actually nothing much in her bag since she only took it out as a cover. Otherwise, she couldn't explain how she managed to get so much food out. Indeed, Samuel looked at these guards with cold look. The security system in City B base is still very lacking. More than lacking, there was basically non-existent. If it was not a battle against those magic beasts outside, it was estimated that these guards would never make a move to help them in the slightest bit. Rhea pursed her lips and stopped caring about it. There was truly no need for her to care so much. She couldn't really do anything here. City B base needed a complete management, and it was these people who lived here who had to take care of it. Otherwise, it would be impossible for City B base to last for long. There were too many magic beasts outside, and the people were not united. How could they expect themselves able to handle this matter well? Rhea shook her head. The two of them continued walking, and Rhea stopped in another stall to buy the jade there. These jades were really good, and in normal times, it couldn't be bought without spending millions of green coins. But now, these things were only worth a few bags of rice. Sometimes, it felt a bit sad how things changed so quickly and how the world turned like this. Rhea took the jade and continued her walk. "How many jade do you need?" Samuel asked. If he was not wrong, he had already traded quite a lot of jade to Rhea in the past as part of their trade agreement. "As many as possible," Rhea replied calmly. "I need these jades to make formation plate since there are not many good materials to make one. Aside from these, some magic beast's bones can be used, but it's not very convenient." She had to process these magic beast's bones for a long time before she could use them. And these magic beast's bones were not as good at conducting mana as many other materials. If it was not because of the lack of materials, Rhea would never set her eyes on their bones. Too time-consuming. Now that there was a chance for her to get some jade for her formation plate, Rhea would rather choose this one. Anyway, there were some jade in her space too, and as long as she processed them, these would be good materials to make formation plate. I see. Samuel nodded. He didn't understand much about how to make formation plate or so on, but he knew that Rhea needed these jade. Should I trade some with the officials too? Samuel felt that he could make some trade with the officials and then handed it over to Rhea. After all, the number of jade in his place has decreased after he came to an agreement with Rhea to trade the jade with those talisman. But after a moment, Samuel knew that it would be impossible for him to take advantage of them, because Peter should also know the importance of these jades for Runemaster. It seemed that he had to put this plan on hold and see the attitude of these officials about it. Probing a bit should be fine. Afterwards, Rhea came to another stall that sold jade. But before she could make a quotation like before, someone yelled from behind, "You're not allowed to trade here without paying tax." Turning her head, Rhea saw a young man followed by several bodyguards behind him. From his appearance and the guards around him, it was clear that he should have status in this base. Presumably, his parents had high position here. Rhea narrowed her eyes. These kinds of people were the most annoying. Moreover, the world had already turned like this with scarce resources and some people were still wasting their time playing truant. Chapter 337, Troublemaker. Rhea truly couldn't understand what was in the mind of these people. The world had already changed and they were still thinking about using their power to make trouble from time to time. The man who was guarding the stall looked pale. "Young Master Josh, I have already paid the guards to trade here. Not you, but the buyer." The man raised his chin and looked at Rhea and Samuel in front of him. The guards reported to him that there were two people who seemed to have carried a lot of food into the city. If he didn't hurry, these two people might trade the entire food with these people and at that time, he would not be able to take advantage at all. "Buying food has to pay the guards too?" Rhea asked with her eyebrows arched. While she did hear that people have to pay taxes for what they bought, but the price of the things they bought was usually has included the taxes. There was no need for them to pay taxes separately anymore. Samuel looked at the young Master Josh in front of him and his mind turned around. It seemed that this young Master Josh should be the descendants of a leader in City B and he specialized in taking advantage of the situation. "Yes." Young Master Josh nodded. "You have to pay some price to the guards aside from the payment you give to the seller." Rhea looked at young Master Josh calmly and asked, "How much?" 50%. 50%? Not only Rhea and Samuel who were surprised, the seller was also anxious when he heard this, because he had been selling these things for a long time and no one came to him to trade. He wanted food but these people didn't dare to come to him for it. Even if he didn't ask for a high price, but it was still too much for most of the people who were suffering from lack of food and so on. "Young Master Josh, isn't it too much?" the man asked with desperation. This was the first customer who dared to stop in front of his stalls. And from the way it looked like, Rhea and Samuel had stopped in several stalls that sold jade before. As long as his jades were good enough in the eyes of Rhea and Samuel, he could get some food. For him, these two people were basically the hope for him to eat full meal after a long time. "I'm the one who arranged for the rules here." Young Master Josh raised his chin and sneered. "Do you think that you can trade if you don't follow the rules I set?" Rhea looked at young Master Josh and the few guards beside him calmly. If they set the taxes normally like 5 to 10%, Rhea was still more willing to listen to them. After all, it seemed like a normal quotation for taxes even before the world changed. She didn't have any interest to have conflict with anyone wherever she went. But 50%? Does he think she's stupid? During the time when food are scarce and Rhea was basically trading for things that looked useless for most people but useful for herself, the quotation she gave out has always been quite high. After all, Rhea knew that these things were very valuable and the food in her world was not that useful for her. But it didn't mean that Rhea was willing to be taken advantage of by others. "What if I don't want to follow the rules?" "Then you can try." Young Master Josh sneered and took out his gun, flashing it as if he was showing off. Continent Z did restrict the ownership and usage of guns before for safety reason, but many people could still obtain it through one way or another. But even they have guns before, no one dared to flash it openly and blatantly or they would be invited to have a tea in the police station. But now that the order has turned lax for various reasons, these people had become more and more arrogant. Rhea shook her head and then looked at the seller. "How much do you want for these jades?" "This." The seller looked at young Master Josh from the corner of his eyes and felt a bit hesitant. He didn't know whether he should answer or not. "Just ignore him," Samuel added. Even though these bullets were a bit troublesome, but they were nothing much in front of him and Rhea. The two of them were rank 4 magic warriors and bullets couldn't harm them anymore. At most, it would feel a bit itchy. Their body's defense was more than enough to ignore the bullet's firepower. The seller saw these two people's calm expression and gritted his teeth. He answered, "1 bag of rice or the equivalent. I just want something to eat." Rhea nodded, not surprised by the seller's request. There were not many jade that she could use from this stall, so Rhea quickly selected a few good jade that she would be able to use. "Don't think that I'm joking around here." Young Master Josh was angry when he saw their actions. He felt that this group of people were looking down on him so much. Samuel frowned and asked, "Do you want to deal with him or should I do it?" "Well, I can deal with him easily," Rhea replied as she picked 5 jades from the stalls. The rest were not good enough and Rhea was not exactly here to do charity. Besides, giving too much to one person at one time might not be a good thing. "This shall be all. I'll give you 5 bags for rice, is it okay?" Rhea asked. "Yes." The seller was very happy when he heard Riya's offer. For him, 5 bags of rice meant that he would be able to eat well for several days. Chapter 338. Troublemaker. 2. This was already a very good thing for him. You! Young Master Josh was angry and raised the gun in his hand. When the other sellers saw this, they were nervous and ready to duck below the table or whatever things that could block the bullet in front of them. This has happened a few times and they knew young Master Josh's temper very well. Those who didn't listen to him would be dealt right away and they could not hope for the guards to come and help them. No one would help them get away from young Master Josh. Don't let me repeat myself. You have to give it to me. Young Master Josh's eyes were red when he saw Riya took out 5 bags of rice from her bag. Each bag of rice only contained 1 kilogram of rice, but it was already quite a lot for the people in the current time. Because 1 bag of rice meant that they could eat for the entire day. Or if they didn't eat much, it could even last for 2 or 3 days. Young Master Josh wanted the rice because he knew very well that if Riya were to give 5 bags to the seller, then she would have to give him 2.5 bags of rice. Being able to get so much food without the need to do anything. Isn't it simply the best? Here you go. Riya still ignored young Master Josh and put the 5 bags before taking the 5 jades. She motioned for the seller to go right away. There were definitely going to be people who wanted to take these 5 bags of rice from him. The seller was also quick-witted and after getting the 5 bags of rice, he packed the rest of his belongings and bolted out at the fastest speed possible. Running to the alleys, the seller quickly shook off the few people who were going after his bags of rice. Now hand over 2. No 3 bags of rice for me, young Master Josh ordered while waving his gun up and down. Samuel looked at young Master Josh's performance and felt like watching a clown. He could see that young Master Josh didn't even know how to use gun properly because that gun almost fell over from his hand. If anything, he felt that young Master Josh was only posturing. Riya could also see that young Master Josh didn't seem to be able to hold his gun well and turned around. Ignoring him once more, she felt that it would be useless to talk with young Master Josh. You be *****. Bang! The gun was shot, but the bullet didn't hit the target. It stopped midair when it was close to Riya and Samuel as if there was an invisible wall stopping the bullet. The few people around looked at this scene and their eyes widened in disbelief. Magic! It's magic! Someone who had seen those magicians from the Magic Association using their magic before nearly shouted out loud. The performance of Riya and Samuel clearly told them that these 2 people were not ordinary people. Then again, what kind of ordinary people dared to walk around arrogantly? Young Master Josh's face turned pale when he saw the bullets were stopped midair. He naturally knew about the magic spells from those magicians from the Magic Association and also the magic warriors form the Martial Arts Association. Are you a magician? Young Master Josh asked in trembling tone, nearly biting his own tongue. Riya looked at young Master Josh's performance and felt that he was really bad. No, I'm not a mage. She will never admit that she's a mage. Knowing how those magicians from the Magic Association chant their magic spells, Riya will never say that she's a mage. Ever. Samuel passed a look at Riya and didn't expose the other party. He knew very well that Runemaster is a branch from mages, but considering how the magician's images has been in this world because of magicians from the Magic Association's action, he could understand why Riya refused to admit that she's a mage. Even Samuel didn't want to say that he knew those magicians from the Magic Association. You're lying, young Master Josh shouted in anger. Lies? Anyway, stop waving that useless toy. It wouldn't be good if you harm others, Riya said calmly. The bullets would not harm her in the slightest bit, but it couldn't be said the same for other people around them. Riya had no plans of involving these innocent people in her dispute with this annoying man. No matter whether you're magic warrior or magicians like those magicians from the Magic Association, you have to follow the rules in City B. Rules in City B? Riya looked at young Master Josh and sneered. Try it then. Try it? Young Master Josh was at loss by Riya's words and stood there stupidly. The few people who followed young Master Josh wanted to facepalm when they saw young Master Josh's appearance. It was clear that Riya and Samuel were not people whom young Master Josh could afford to provoke. But this man didn't seem to realize it and still stood there stupidly. Riya and Samuel were not patient enough to wait until young Master Josh answered. They continued walking and Riya looked at the other stalls around, trying to find Jade as fast as possible. No, where did they go? Young Master Josh came to his senses and saw that both Riya and Samuel were no longer within his field of vision. Young Master, they have left. The few people who followed young Master Josh looked at their young master and complained in their hearts. These 2 people had left a long time ago when you was still standing stupidly. What? Young Master Josh frowned and then turned around. I want to report to my father. Since they're in City B, they have to follow the rules. Chapter 339, Arrogant and Proud. Riya and Samuel found another stalls and Riya quickly paid for the few jades that she found there. Young Master Josh will not give up so easily, Samuel reminded when he saw Riya was still in the mood to shop around. Riya passed a glance at Samuel and replied, I know. From the moment she decided to ignore, do you want to talk with the officials here? Samuel felt that it would be nothing for him to have some talk with them. At most, he would inform his father that he made some troubles in City B and the other party will help him to clean up a bit. If Mr. Jones were to know what his son was thinking, he would definitely come forward and chased after Samuel with a sandal. This brat only knew how to make trouble after dumping the management and administration matters to him. Unfortunately, he didn't know, because when he knew about the troubles that Samuel caused, it would be too late to beat up Samuel.
No.
Rhea put away the jades and continued to walk. They'll not come so quickly, and do you think that the officials will be willing to fight against the magic warriors for the sake of young Master Josh? Samuel chuckled. So you do realize that they're most likely not willing to make trouble. Yes. Rhea looked into the distance and said, people like young Master Josh only knows how to use his position and the power behind him to make trouble. But when facing a hard opponent, he will not be able to At this moment, Rhea seemed that she was looking to the front yet not at the same time. It was as if she was in a trance and seeing something that was so far away. Samuel heard Rhea's words and arched his eyebrows. You sound as if you have met with people like this often. Often? Rhea blinked her eyes and chuckled. She did see a few annoying young masters in that world after she became Runemaster. After all, her customers were both the ordinary people and also the young masters who came from various families. When she was walking around, she often encountered the scene of these young masters making trouble. But she was nothing more than a bystander, because her identity as a Runemaster made most of these young masters unwilling to provoke her. They knew very well that if they were to accidentally provoke the Runemaster Association behind these Runemasters, they would be beaten up by their family members instead. A young master can be arrogant and be proud because of his position and background, but he couldn't overstep the lines because once he did, the power behind him would not be able to protect him. Rhea continued walking and added calmly. So it's important for these young masters and young misses to know that they're not the most powerful people in the world. Their arrogance and proudness has a limit. Some of them didn't know this, which made them very annoying and troublesome to deal with. But some others are instead cute because they look like a big child who had never grown up. A big child who has never grown up. For some reasons, Samuel had the feeling that Rhea was referring to his sister when she mentioned this phrase. After all, that description was very suitable for Amelia. I see. As a young master yourself, don't you also have time when you're arrogant and proud because of your background? Rhea asked back. Samuel rubbed his nose and replied, of course I'm arrogant and proud when I was a child. I'm the successor of the Jones Corporation and there are going to be a lot of people under my command when I grow up. After this, Samuel paused for a moment. But being a young master doesn't mean that I can play around all the time. As the successor, I have to train hard day and night so that I can bear the responsibility that will be placed onto my shoulder. It was his sister and younger brother who were given more freedom. When these two people were playing around in the garden and made trouble in the compound, he was still in the study room to study the materials that his father handed over to him. So even if Samuel is proud, he also understood that he had his own responsibility to fulfill. It was his obligation as the successor of the Jones family. Well, at least that was how it is in the past. Considering that he needed to focus his time on practicing and restoring his previous strength, Samuel had the feeling that his younger brother would have to take over his position. Amelia was impossible. That girl only knew how to play around. And her aspiration was simply too far away from this kind of position and responsibility. I see. Rhea nodded when she listened to Samuel's words. She never had any parents who cared for her education and would take care of her, because those two people were too busy with their own affairs. They both didn't want her and their families refused to take care of her. Shaking her head, Rhea didn't think about it anymore. Her eyes moved across the stalls once again before she locked onto a pile of rocks in the distance. Senior Samuel, are those? Rhea pointed in one direction. Samuel looked at the direction Rhea pointed at and his eyes turned sharper instantly. He also recognized these ores and knew very well how valuable they were. It should be the mana metal ore, Samuel said with certainty. Rhea's eyes lit up when she heard this.
Chapter 340. Mana metal ore.
Mana metal ore were the terms for special ores in that world that could transmit mana. These types of metal was really valuable because it was not that easy to find metals that could transmit mana. Once found, they would be grabbed by big families or other power such as the association. The mana metal ore had to be smelted and then mixed with some other metals to be forged into weapons, tools, and many other things. It was commonly used in that world. But the final product would have been mixed with other metals, and the higher the concentration of the mana metal ore, the more valuable it is. Unfortunately, it was not that easy to make things with high concentration of mana metal ore. Without enough skills, the final product would not be strong enough to fulfill their intended purpose. But that was fine. There were many researchers sent from Continent Z's capital city in the crack right now. Even if they didn't know the most suitable proportion to make the usable metal, they could research it. As long as there were enough ores, they would be able to make use of it. Let's go there. Samuel was already impatient when he saw the stack of mana metal ores presented on the table. There were many people around who basically passed by the stalls, not realizing that they have missed on some treasures. Then again, if they were unable to process the mana metal ores, it was indeed useless. The two of them came to the stall and the young man who was taking care of the stalls immediately sat up straight. The market street was not that big and many people were basically showing off their goods on the street while sitting on the ground. City B base didn't care that much about their well-being. What they cared the most was the resources that they could obtain if they were to take these people in. It was also because of this reason that there were many people who were barely living here. If they wanted to get more food for their survival, they have to work harder. But for some of them who couldn't find any work or too late to find work in the morning, they would come here to sell things. Even though the hot weather made many of them unwilling to go out of their residence. But they had to work if they wanted to eat. So they could only try their luck. Ria and Samuel's movement when they were buying things were not really small. So people who were selling jade and other valuable things were eager to move. But at the same time, they were also worried that these two people would dislike it if theirs were not good enough. After all, they had seen that these two didn't buy everything. They could only wait patiently. This young man was the same. Moreover, he didn't have any confidence because the things he put to sale were not exactly jade but some or that he found in the cracks. How much do you want for these? Ria asked straightforwardly when she looked at these ores. These were indeed mana metal ores. But from what Ria knew, it was impossible for Green Planet to produce mana metal ore. The main reason was naturally because mana metal ore could only be found in places with rich mana concentration. Food, the young man replied instinctively. He froze for a moment and then asked, does a bag of rice would suffice? Well, Ria looked and saw that there was a stack of mana metal ores in front of them. If you tell me where you get these, I'll give you this. Ria took out a space storage scroll and put it in front of the young man. She didn't know what rank this young man is, but she could sense faint mana fluctuation from him. He should be a magic warrior or a magician depending on the meditation type he learned. What is this? The young man asked. Send your mana inside. Send mana into paper? While the young man was confused, he still did as he was told. Samuel, who was also looking at these mana ores, didn't make a move. He knew very well if he were to compete for resources with Ria, he would definitely lose. Because the number of magic storage scrolls in his hand was limited and he didn't bring so much food when he go out. Who would put countless rice bags in these small space storage scrolls when they were about to go out? He definitely didn't do that. So he chose to wait for Ria to finish her negotiation. Anyway, if it was in the past, even 1 ton of food could never compare with these mana metal or this. The young man saw a space of 1 meter x 1 meter filled with big rice bags and he swallowed instinctively. It was really hard for them to find food these days and the young man could barely eat 1 time each day. He was really hungry but he didn't have enough resources to eat so he could only bear with it. Now that there was a large amount of food in front of him, how could he not feel greedy? But realizing that he was still in front of his customers, the young man forcefully held himself back. He looked at Samuel and Ria. I can tell you, the food inside the space storage scrolls were more than enough for him to eat for weeks. I'll give you more if you can lead us there, Ria added. That will be the down payment for these ores. She didn't say the name of the mana metal or because it would be difficult to explain how she knew the name. Deal. The young man didn't have much ores either way. Ria was satisfied and put these ores into her bag and then transferred to her world. She beckoned for the young man to start going.